What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I am Alex, and I'm once again joined by Sway, and we have, I think, maybe the best live stream we've done all year. Our official game, I think it's Podcast Now's, but I mean the official Game of the Year awards. We got a lot of graphics that took a while. We got a lot of categories, and I think categories we're both pretty proud of. We tried to do some different ones, right? Versus what we saw. You're going to see some that are the same, but you were going to see some that the Game Awards wouldn't touch, right? Where do you see most disappointing or something like that in the Game Awards category? So I don't know exactly how this is going to work. I have everything labeled so I can read. Normally I don't name files and stuff, but I knew I had to for this case. Let's start out with this way while I try to figure out what we're going to do first. What'd you think just of the year of 2023 in gaming?
Honestly, I think that from the slow year that we had last year, I think that it was much needed. It was like the beginning of the year. I'll never forget it. Like me and you were talking about, like, this time last year, or this time in 2021, that would have been probably right
Yeah.
going to two. So yeah, we're talking about like, oh my god, like this is going to be um we're gonna get slammed with games. We're gonna, you know what I'm saying? And it happened. When it happened, it just kept
Yeah.
moving, and then it died down for a very brief second, and then it just kept moving.
Yeah.
And even with the disappointments that we had and the successes that we had, I honestly think overall this was a very good year for gaming. It was an
Yeah.
exciting year for gaming, and I'm appreciative of it.
Yeah, it was it had its lows. Definitely,
Yes, it
had some
did.
terrible games and had a lot of people being laid off. Like the business
Yes.
ends of things is bad, and the business end I don't think is actually going to go away. I think 2024
No.
could be worse. But from the gaming, from the good games, diverse games of all different genres, all different, anybody can like any of these games. It was really, really good. So, all right, obviously we got to do game of the year last, right? We have we have somewhere in the range of 12 to 13 categories. Sway and I both did nominees, and I want to talk about them. Or we this will probably still go fast, the live stream, but I want us to at least have like a discussion of why these games deserve it, which is what the Game Awards doesn't do, right? That way, even though we'll have winners, we can still give the other games their what the flower. What's the cool term nowadays?
The flowers.
Their flowers, yeah. Like we want to like shout out the other games too. Um, okay. So I mean, I think best character is what is popping up first here. So how am
Okay.
I supposed? So what we're gonna do? We're gonna start with Sway. Um, well, this is gonna be so messy. All right, I'm gonna have the nominees. I want you to go through the nominees, talk about it a little bit, and then I'll put up the winner slide. We'll wait for the slide to do our winner. Okay. Thank you. By the way, thank you all for being here. I'm sure this is going to be partially a disaster because this is the first time we've done. Normally, I do this as a video, not as a live stream. So we really do thank all of you for watching now, and I'm sure there'll be people that watch it after too. I think this will probably do really good after as well. So thank you for being here. All right, and let us know. By the way, let us know what yours are. So we're doing best character. If you guys want to let us know in the chat, right now, what's your best character, of the year, definitely do that. And maybe we can spend some time talking about it. Okay.
And let us
Um,
know your nominees too if you want to
yeah,
as
not,
well.
yeah. If
Like
you have more
who
than
was your
one. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think I can just do this. All right, Sway. There's your,
Alrighty.
there's your best character.
Those are my best characters. So we can go one by one. Let me, because I have my list here, pull it up as well. So
I
I want
gotta
to
get
make sure
mine
I get
out.
every. So Mr. Dora, I thought was a very, very, very good character. I know I mentioned this to Alex. I think I mentioned this here in one of the streams we did. So Alan Wake was a game that I didn't get a chance to play, but I watched the game movie on YouTube. So I'm very aware of what happens, how it plays out, and I think that the way that his character was presented in the game was next level for what the game was trying to achieve. And I could not have higher things to say. It's one of those things where he was a very big part of that game, along with everybody else in the cast that made that game. But like for me, the way that it swept the Game Awards, I believed it. When
Yeah.
it comes to the performances that everyone in that game delivered, um, I understood how it was getting those awards and how they came to those conclusions. I know not everybody would agree with it, but I think that the performances, especially from him, was well done all the way around, and I could not have any, higher praise for them. Yuri Lowenthal as Peter Parker. I feel like mostly everybody in this chat would agree that he did phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. I actually got to see him. I went to GalaxyCon a few weeks ago and he was there and he did a panel. I didn't get to go in that panel, but I did see him signing autographs. Like I was literally feet away from him. I'm like, wow, I'm close to Spider-Man. But the performance was great. The emotion was great. The dialogue and the scenes that he had with MJ, that he had with Harry, the mentorship that he had with Miles, him just being lost in this game and not knowing where to go. I think that he got all of that over tremendously in a way that it was hard to do. And if anybody had him winning this category in the chat, or if he would have won best performance in the game awards, I would have been a-okay with that, because that is it was amazing performance.
Yeah.
Cal Kestis. I believe Cal Kestis was an amazing character. Especially I felt like what helped him out was Jedi Fallen Order and coming into that, because you got to see his growth coming into this game, really. And not just him as a person, but his journey as a Jedi, his journey with his relationships with all of his friends, colleagues, villains, everything around him, his relationship with the Force. You can also see Cameron Monaghan coming more and more into his role as this character. So I believe that this was a very, very, very strong performance from him, and he really embodied somebody that was starting to become full on, like more of a leader into his Force abilities and as a Jedi. Sid from Final Fantasy, an amazing character. The moment he stepped on screen and he met Clyde and he kind of started to, aid Clyde in his journey, I was captivated the moment he stepped on screen. How his story played out. Very strong character. My favorite character in the Final Fantasy game, from Final Fantasy 16.
A little Nathan Drake like, I thought.
Yes. And I didn't think about that until you just said it, but that is perfect. And yes, I had absolutely loved it. He's probably for me, him and Clyde is the best characters, but I think that is my favorite character out of that game for sure. And just the way that his lines are delivered and the way that his scenes are delivered and the way that his story plays out in the game, I feel like is very strong. And then I can never pronounce her name in this game. But her performance in Baldur's Gate 3, it's no shock. She's a very popular character, as well as having an amazing character in the game itself. And I personally gravitated towards her. I am actively playing Baldur's Gate. So like she is one of the characters that, like, when I was playing, I made this list, I was like, I'm really feeling her. I can understand now where the popularity is coming from. Just the dialogue options, just the brand, like her character is been absolutely amazing so far, and I think it's well deserved. With that being said, my winner for this, sorry for being so long-winded, everybody. No, my winner is Cal Kestis, Cameron Monaghan, Cal Kestis. I think that his character resonated with me the most out of all of these characters up here. I believe that his journey and how that character handled his journey in this game, I believe, was the absolute best out of any character that was here for me personally.
There we go. I need to show I put the time in to make it, but you gotta see it.
You gotta see it. I love it.
All right, there we go. Very nice. I didn't want to spring this on you, but I thought it could be fun to spring it on you. Did you have a runner up?
My runner up would have been Peter.
Okay.
Like runner up to win or runner up that wasn't like on
No,
the
yeah,
list.
runner like
Okay.
second place. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
was Peter.
Yeah. I was considering, but I wasn't gonna make more graphics for it, but I was considering asking you. Okay, here we go. That's good. That's good. I mean, I knew all these ahead of time, so it's not too much of a shocker for me. Okay, best character. I'll keep it shorter. This Sway did, he went through a lot of really good points, mine's a little different, as you can see. So we got
Yeah.
Peter Parker. Now I look at this as character, not performance.
Mhm.
In fact, I forgot to do a performance. We should have done that, but I look at it as characters. I think Peter was just a really good character. Hampered a little bit by Miles, solving a lot of his problems, but literally just as a character. Like when I think of some of the better moments in games this year, like he pops up, like him
Yeah.
getting stabbed, by Craven, and like that walk. Like I thought it was very emotional, and you don't get emotion if him and Laura Bailey don't do their jobs. You know what I mean? So I think he deserves it, and he I can understand him winning best performance. Alan Wake, I mean, just an amazing, there's not, you're going to see Alan Wake on here a lot on mine. Sorry.
As you should.
Yeah, as it should be. Clive, I think he was really good. And I think there was a lot of good characters in Final Fantasy 16. I think it being 6 months like removed from it hurts it a little bit, but the story, when it had its highs, like it had insanely good highs, and he was a big part of it. Like I do think the base story, I think it just took some time to get there, and there was some long stretches of kind of not like the most impactful quests and stuff. When you got to like the story itself, there was a lot of great characters, a lot of good arcs in Final Fantasy, so that deserves it. Obviously, Cal. I mean, like I feel bad for him. Like he won yours, okay? So I will say he did get some representation. I'm going to tell you right now, he didn't win mine, and I feel bad because I think he is a top tier character. Like I think he's one of the best characters of the year. I truly mean that. And then I had to put Kiryu Kazuma because that man, or Kazuma Kiryu, he's insane. He's insane in that game. It's so good to have him back. And the ending of The Man Who Erased His Name, one of the best moments in games this year. And honestly, it's because of him, and it's because of the acting. Japanese, not young. Yeah. So just to throw that out there. Okay. I'm going to try to line it up. I want to show you guys the thing as I do it. So my winner, this is probably not a shocker for you. Drum, yeah, it would be way too long of a drum now. Drum roll. Mine, Alan Wake. I love that picture, by the way. I mean,
I do.
Yeah.
That's clean.
So what's interesting about him is like you also have to kind of include Mr. Scratch, that I won't say too much for like spoiler purposes, but like there's a lot of like dynamics with him, and I just loved it. Like I love seeing him back here. This in a way is almost redemption, I think, for best performance at the Game Awards, because not just did Matthew did a good job at voicing him, but Ilka as the actor, right, as Alan Wake, is so good. And like you just again don't get games like this, right, where you get two people for the same role. And I mean, you sometimes do, like sometimes motion capture is different than the voice, but you'll never see one of them, right? In
This was unique.
yeah, and this, like, you literally see Ilka. He has a huge role, so had to put that in there. Okay, Alan Wake, the character, is my favorite character. All right, in order, I think we got combat next. So I'll pull it up. I'm going to get faster at this. In fact, I think I am already getting faster. Combat, Sway, go.
Okay, Street Fighter 6.
No, wait, do we want to say combat? I mean, that's pretty, like, self-implied, right? So, like, mechanics, gameplay, right?
Yeah. So yeah, the way I'm looking at it is like combat can be anything. It doesn't have to necessarily be a fighter.
Right.
Anything with combat, diverse combat systems and anything like that, that's what we're going for here.
Yep.
So it can be a range of different games. I mean, it could have been a TRPG, which I thought about putting one here. So but we have Street Fighter 6. I think that the combat in here is self-explanatory. I think that they added just so many cool features with the drive rush and the drive mechanic in this game, period. It changes things. It added a new feel to Street Fighter. And I know, like in the, like the fighting game, the FGC community, they're always wishy-washy on it. But I think that for the mass audience, that the game is much more relatable to play. Hogwarts Legacy made battling with a wand so good. I know it was back in February and it's easy to forget.
Yeah.
But when that game first came out, one of the things that shocked everybody was the combat. And as a person that just went back and played it, I want to say earlier this week on Steam Deck, and I was like, wow, I forgot how good this feels. So it was Christmas time. It was snowing that day. I was like, I'm feeling a little Hogwarts, and I went back in the world and it was great. Spider-Man 2. What can you say? It was everything was improved from the first game with features added to it. It was already perfect before. It's even more perfect now. I love it. It can't go wrong with it. Mortal Kombat. The implementation of the cameo system, I think, was a very unique one. And if I'm being honest, I rarely use those cameos.
Same.
But that's because it is a strong adjustment to me. I love fighting games. However, that drive mechanic throws me off. So I'm glad to hear that you as well don't use it as often.
Yeah. I suck at fighting games, so it's because I can't use them.
And that gives me to Hi-Fi Rush. I think it had the most unique combat probably out of the year, with it being tied to music and just being tied to being able to flow with it. Like, I just believe that it's something different, and there was no game that I felt like deserved more recognition, especially in this spot, than Hi-Fi Rush. And that's why it's on the list. I truly enjoyed the combat and how unique it was.
Yeah.
And that brings me to my winner.
I can do it. Hold on.
All good.
And go.
Street Fighter 6. I believe, like, it is literally my favorite game to play from a combat perspective this year. It's probably not a shocker to you all who watch the normal podcast.
Shocking for me to get the message.
So yes, that is my winner for combat of the year.
Very good. Do you have a runner-up?
Honestly, my runner-up probably would have been Hi-Fi Rush because of how unique it was.
This one, by the way, this one's hard. Like, as you're talking, I'm thinking about your points, and I also saw like Final Fantasy 16. Like, that's a good, and I feel bad for not putting it in here. But you know what I also just thought of right now that I feel bad is Sea of Stars. I think Sea of Stars with combat is excellent, and so this is like, I could have made a top 10 for this one, to be honest with you. I feel good about mine. Hogwarts Legacy, for the reasons you said. And you'll see how actually much I like the combat there. It's just extremely good. It does the free flow combat with magic, which you almost think can't happen. And it has a lot of shortcomings. Like, it's not as time has not been great to this game. It just hasn't. But the combat, it has. Like, I don't think it's ever going to go away. So they deserve a lot of accolades. And I think that's maybe what I'm most excited for when I think of a Hogwarts Legacy 2 is what they could continue with the combat. Spider-Man, for the same reason you said, Spider-Man, I can't go back to Spider-Man 1 for like a few reasons. The web swinging is one, like traversal, and then also the combat's just so good. It's actually, again, it's almost unfair in the Jedi Survivor way. It's so consistently top tier, but it kind of gets overlooked by things that are almost more surprising, right? Does that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You expect it to be good, and it is. But like, other games kind of like swoop in and steal like the mind share for whatever reason, but it deserves it. Hi-Fi Rush, same reason. It is the most unique of everything, matching the beat, right, to get the better damage. So love it. It's the first game I played in 2023. It deserves it. Jedi Survivor, I love again, that's another one I don't know if I'd be able to go back, right, because the stances, just the different ways that you could play. Now, I still stuck with the most basic. I think I did just single and maybe double, like maybe two. But they're all four are very good, and they all take a little talent.
Skill.
Like, you have to know what you're doing. Yeah, skill in order to do it. And speaking of skill, Ghost Runner 2, you're going to see Ghost Runner 2 again for me, and I don't think it's actually in a good category. But one thing that stands out is the combat is like elite. Like, Ghost Runner 1 and Ghost Runner 2, the combat's elite. Other things disappointed me about this game, but it is top tier, and it deserves, I think, to be on there. Okay. Let me find it. It's harder when I'm the one talking to do it. I know. I'm gonna say this in terms of a runner-up. Runner-up is tough. I was shocked I picked this. I had to really think about it, and going in, I didn't think this one was gonna win, but it did. Hogwarts Legacy.
Woo!
Yeah. I got to be honest. I was going to give it to Hi-Fi Rush. So that's probably my second. But any of them, like Spider-Man, again, is so consistently elite. Jedi Survivor, I might think back to the best, except for Hogwarts. So like they all deserve it. To be maybe Ghost Runner would be like the clear number 5 here. But I'd say 1 through 4 are so close. But Hogwarts, it just kind of shocked. Like, it's the surprise. It's because it shocked me. That's why.
Yes.
I hope you guys are enjoying. I'm having a lot of fun. I like this a lot. Okay.
Don't forget to put what y'all think as well for each category if you like.
Yes. I see people are joining in. Make sure. I mean, this is one that I think you want to go back. You want to watch all the categories. But welcome into anybody joining us. Okay. Best character, now there's a couple of them, Sway, that I did that you didn't do. And that's okay. I think just by going in the order we're going, we're going to eventually hit it. So I guess we'll figure it out so we have skill gap is next.
Okay.
This was fun. This was Sway's idea. I like this a lot. And I think yours and mine are somewhat close, but I do think they're a little different. So skill gap. Do you want to explain? Because you had to tell me what that meant. So do you want to tell them?
Yeah. So skill gap is any game that basically requires that has a skill gap where players can have the opportunity to be, say, better than other players at the game.
Yeah.
So basically anything that requires skill and say, like, for example, web swinging in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You turn off the web assist and then you just go from there. A person that's really good is going to swing better than maybe your average person. So anything like that, it can be from a combat perspective or anything like that, but something that has a skill gap.
Yeah. I like this. You'll never see this at the Game Awards because the talent level is a little low. All right, what do you got?
Okay, so I have Street Fighter 6, which is a game that I would say is easy to play, hard to master, which is what you want out of a game. It adds layers to it, and I believe that as you learn the game, as you learn different characters, as you learn the drive mechanics, as well as the perfect parry and everything like that, you get a gist of how to play it, and there really does start to become levels, and you can see that just from playing the game. You don't even have to hop in like ranked in order to see it. You can just kind of feel it as you're going on and experiencing it. Ghost Runner 2, I can't explain to you how many times I died when I did get to play it. And I was dying very early on a lot. Ghost Runner 1 was also a good game to it was a very difficult game to play. This one is a little bit more, you can get your footing a little bit easier
than one.
Yeah, this one's easier than 1. And I believe that there is certain portions that does take skill to kind of master. And I've seen like even different people online just kind of get through levels way quicker, way easier, way less deaths than other people. I believe that it has a skill gap. If you once you get comfortable with it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Armored Core, a lot of people said that this game was hard. I think that this game is hard. So I can already, and then I have a friend that actually also has it, and I watch him play on share screen, and I'm just like, huh. So Liza P is another one with unique combat, and I think that is also something that definitely has a skill gap, very difficult.
Yeah.
Each time you find a different player playing it, you're going to see a different level of play from them. Resident Evil, I've always been like this with this game. Some games, there's sometimes where I'm like, I'm better than a lot of my friends, and I'm seeing a lot of players, but you constantly have to kind of, how you manage your inventory and also the combat itself, it weighs different person by person. And that brings me to the winner,
which I'm trying to find. I think it's
all good.
God, I hope this is the right one. Well, you'll tell me if I'm wrong.
That is the winner.
Okay, good.
Ghost Runner 2. I believe Ghost Runner 2 for me personally was the one with the the largest skill gap. Just much like Ghost Runner 1. This one was easier than 2, but I believe once you kind of start to know what you're doing, and even when it does get easier for the player, when the player looks at the landscape and looks at everyone else try to play around him, you will see like there's a lot of weighing like player levels in between. And I believe that there's a lot of skill gap to go in between there.
Yeah. Do you have a runner up?
My runner-up. Now I gotta go because I forgot what categories already. Okay, yeah. So my runner-up would have easily been Lies of P for that or Armored Core, either one.
Now, this was tough, and I think, and you got to remember too, like we can't play every game. In fact, like Baldur's Gate, I think would sweep it more if I played it more. I still think it's one of the best games of the year, having played so little. But in order to win, I really have to like believe. So, you have to remember, there's a thing. I mean, looking at yours, I didn't want to do Lies of P because I played it for like an hour, but then I did Armored Core and I haven't even played Armored Core. So, there's some biasness, there's some times I break my own rules here, but my best skill gap, I do Armored Core for the simple sense of, FromSoft and just the way you can build out your mech or whatever it's even called, right? That game can get extremely difficult. And that's really a game where like you're either really good at it or like you completely suck and you drop off of it, completely. I had to do the 2 fighting games because I just feel there is an inherent, even specifically Street Fighter. I don't watch too much of it like professionals playing it, but I have seen a little. And there clearly is, you could be excellent, you could be like me, terrible, and then there is in between, but there's a very high ceiling to your skill with that one. Epic Zombie Killer, there's your Texas Chainsaw. I felt this was the right time to put it in because I do think you can kind of be elite, where you can just be downright impossible.
Yes, you can.
To play against, whether you're the killer or the victim. So I thought this would kind of be cool to like put that one in. And then Ghost Runner, I did for the same reason. It's still a hard game, very hard. There are still some. I actually just think it's kind of uneven. There's some levels that are very much feel like Ghost Runner 1, where you die like 70, 80 times. I died thousands of times in all in the first game. I did not nearly as much in 2, and that's why it's not going to win it for me. But for me, there are some levels where it's impossible in a good way. But then there's also where there's some very easy, at least because I actually played them almost back to back. So I was like I knew the controls, I knew the feel, and there were some levels that were just too easy that I felt. Okay, so we got that. Best skill gap. Where is it? And this is actually, I don't think this is all that shocking, to be honest with you. Share screen. Oh, God. My winner in Street Fighter 6. I did play it an okay amount, okay? This is actually a game I did try. And again, it's, I think, really driven more from the community, what I've seen just online. You can be terrible at it like me. You can get schooled. But I think like the pros at this game are just like on another freaking planet, right? So
I watched the Capcom Pro Tour and Street Fighter League like weekly. Yes.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. I think I'll just follow yours. We're gonna skip game. So best setting is next.
Okay.
Best setting. And there's yours.
All righty. So best setting. Hogwarts Legacy. What can we say, right? Getting to be inside Hogwarts, just being in the Wizarding world, when done correctly, it is, especially with the technology we have today, it's kind of like a dream come true more than like, wow, like this is a setting that we've never seen before. We've seen it, but like getting to experience it, walk through it in the game, because all we get to go in the movies is where they let us go, where the characters go. The fact that we get to free roam it and go anywhere we want, fly, the setting I think was beautiful. The music really set the mood. I just think that it was a perfect embodiment of what the Wizarding world is. Baldur's Gate 3, I believe, was a very, very, very good very good setting. I think that it was
beautiful. Celebrate the start of the weekend with your Alexa.
Now she'll tell
Alexa,
you
stop.
Setting it is.
Alexa, stop. Yes, she will. Weekly. Baldur's Gate 3, I think, had a very good setting. I think so far what I've played, I've very much been enjoying the environment in all the different places that you do get to go in this game. I think that is very well done. I think that the developers did a very good job on the world itself. Tears of the Kingdom, we know what we were getting into from Breath of the Wild. It's pretty much more of the same, but that art style really just never gets old to me. It's just as beautiful as the first time that I seen it, and even the new stuff that they do with it, and the more of the newer areas that they've built into the game, as well as just the ability, the music, everything around it, the setting is just beautiful. Starfield,
Controversial, maybe.
controversial. The planets that you go on, just space in general. There's for all the the things that they could have done in this game, and there were letdowns in this game, for sure. I think that the setting and the scenery and the way that the game presents itself is very beautiful. It does have its issues, and spoiler, it will not win, but I do love playing, and I do love feeling immersed, and I do feel immersed when I am playing. And then Assassin's Creed Mirage, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Love the scenery there, love where the game takes place, love how just you feel like you're there, and couldn't praise it anymore. And platforming around it is also very fun.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready. Hogwarts Legacy. That is hands down my favorite place to be this year in any game. That had the best setting for me, totally.
There we go. I'm glad to see. I think Hogwarts has an okay amount of awards from us versus I think we're still shorting Jedi Survivor, just like Game Awards did, but Hogwarts at least I think is a little bit more. Yeah, that was good.
Jedi got a W so far, so we looking good right now.
Yeah, I think you've done it. I think you've done it well. Okay, I wrote myself a note in the files. The name, and I'll get there in a second. This will be fun. Okay, my best setting, Sea of Stars. So if I hadn't played it and I just beat this game like 2 weeks ago, this obviously would have freed it up for something else. Sea of Stars is excellent. And the more I think about it, the more I think, yeah, this is a Game of the Year contender, and I kind of feel bad. You go to so many places in Sea of Stars, and everything just looks so cool. So a lot of variety, and maybe more variety than most of these games, to be honest with you. So that was excellent. Hogwarts, yeah, Hogwarts is tough, and I think we'll probably reference that as we go. Hogwarts Castle is elite. It's elite. The tough thing with Hogwarts is you got the Wizarding World, and you have a couple hot spots that are perfect, but then there's a lot of weak of the surrounding area. So that really, to me, hurt it and prevents it, I think, from winning. I'm pretty sure I remember who won this one. But at its best, it does deserve something. Texas Chainsaw. I want to put this in because for Texas, I try to stretch the definition of setting to atmosphere. The atmosphere of Texas is maybe the best atmosphere of any game this year. You feel claustrophobic, yes. You feel tense, you feel like you're in a basement. The lighting, the visuals, beautiful game. Compared to Friday the 13th and Predator, these games are not all that good looking.
Blows it out the water.
Yeah. But even when they came out, they were not that great to look at. Texas looks beautiful still. So I thought that deserved it. Alan Wake, The Dark Place is legendary. And I think the idea of scene swapping, and then with Saga, your detective board, and just, I guess, the Mind Place for her, and even Alan in the writer's room, those are locations, so that would be considered in the setting. There's a lot, and they're all excellent. And then Final Fantasy. It's when I think to Final Fantasy, I think to the political drama kind of stuff, but I can't remember everything about it. But I think to the surrounding area, and the world itself was pretty darn.
It's beautiful. Cool.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Yeah. So there you go. I try to go really Texas and Sea of Stars. I think are pretty different than what you would normally see there. Okay, and now I wrote myself a note, and I said this was hard. So just to remind myself that I had a really hard time picking this one. But I had to go with the biasness. Alan Wake. Because of the dark place, because of the scene swapping, I just think there's things that are done, like Echoes, right? The Alex Casey stuff. There's just stuff you don't see in anything else, right? Sea of Stars is more retro, so you have maybe seen those kind of like locations before. Yeah, I'm trying to like almost make excuses why the other, but they're all so good. Like they're all Sea of Stars. I really thought to do. I think that would maybe be my second favorite. But yeah, I had to give it to the dark place. I think it's just so different than anything else. So there you go. And Hogwarts, if the rest of it, but there's a lot of collectathon stuff.
Once you leave Hogwarts, it's kind of sketchy.
Yeah, but Hogwarts, like there's a couple like those hot spots. Like I said, those are like elite. So that was a tough one too. Okay, we did setting, soundtrack. Soundtrack is next. I like doing this one.
Okay, so Hogwarts. Once again, what can you say? We already know what Harry Potter and the Wizarding World sounds like, and I think that it does a very good job of getting that over and making you feel like you're there, as well as like the scenes that needs to be more impactful. I think that music aids it. Armored Core, not gonna lie to you, loved it. Absolutely love the soundtrack there. I'm constantly bobbing my head as I play it. It is insane how much like I'm just listening to this, and it's like the only thing that I've been like that really with is like if I play as Cammy in Street Fighter, because I just really love her theme. But it's like that Cammy in Hi-Fi Rush, it's kind of like you're just bobbing your head to it and you're playing it, and it's just when you're facing epic missions, like it's just I can't explain it. You just got to play it. You got to play it. Jedi Survivor does a very, very good job of making you feel like you're in a world of Star Wars, as it always does. The first game did. I think that the score is very more impactful when you get in certain scenes, like a very scene that I will mention later on here.
Yep, that's
it is that scene in particular. It helped like get over the emotion of the scene even more, and it brings everything together. And I mean, I'll mention that later. Yeah. Tears of the Kingdom. Still have not finished this game yet, but I have gotten further in this game. And I will honestly say that and I just got my OLED, which prompted me to play it more. So I love this game, and the music around it for Breath of the Wild was even more like elevated in this game. And I think that it's just more of a beautiful thing. It doesn't really add to any one scene in particular more than just adding to the immersiveness in the world and making you feel like this is truly not necessarily a magical place, but a mythical place, if that makes sense. And then Final Fantasy.
Oh, man.
I mean, yeah, it is the same thing with Armored Core for me, but more in the sense of like, instead of like adding to it in the gameplay perspective, literally every emotional moment, every angering moment, every important moment, the music hits every time. That soundtrack has a purpose every time you hear it. Even in gameplay cutscenes, you feel the weight, and it's constant. It is impressive, and I can't say anything more about it. Like,
all right, I got your winner. You ready?
I'm ready for it. Armored Core. Yeah, I mean, I didn't spoil it from my excitement for it already, but yes, Armored Core for me was the best soundtrack out of these here, and Final Fantasy was actually a close, very close runner-up for me.
There we go. Yeah, there was I don't know if I wrote it to myself, but again, soundtrack was hard. Yeah, I wrote it again. I only wrote it 2 times, and it's soundtrack.
I'm a Luke main, by the way, for the chat, but Cammy's my second. She's my runner-up.
All right, best soundtrack. Sea of Stars. I won't spoil it, but I'll tell you it's hard because of Sea of Stars. Sea of Stars' soundtrack is elite, and I think you just need to play it or hear it to know. There's so much variety, the 8-bit, and it's just so good. Like, it never stops. And you hear it, it's on a loop. You hear it a lot, and it never stops. It's amazing. Hogwarts, same reason. Hogwarts, I think it's elevated because it's the Wizarding World IP. That's not a negative. It just has that, and it really helps. I think you mentioned what was the game? Star Wars, Jedi Survivor, and I think Hogwarts. I think the music complements the game maybe better than the others. Whereas Sea of Stars, it's like integral. It is part of the game. Hogwarts and Jedi very much help it in the certain scenes. So I would say that for Jedi as well, which I'm sorry that's not here. Alan Wake had to put Poets of the Fall or Old Gods of Asgard. Boy, oh boy, you're gonna see them. So we got that. I'm not gonna really say anything more. Soundtrack to Alan Wake is well. You know what? I'll say this in for the nominee portion. Alan Wake has beautiful, amazing music that like licensed kind of stuff too, right? Like from these bands. The ends of chapters are all very like highly done. But they also connect to the game, right? They tell stories as or themes that you'll see in the game. Plus, there's just like big orchestral kind of moments in the game as well. So it kind of has everything. Spider-Man had to put it because I feel like this also kind of complements the game. I bring up the Peter almost dying scene. Music helps make that scene as well. A lot of the emotional parts to Spider-Man are helped, I think, by the soundtrack. So I think it deserved that. And then Final Fantasy. Yeah, I feel bad because Final Fantasy didn't win this, but I see the chat like they're I think into Final Fantasy. It deserves it. It does because it is epic nonstop, like at its best. And when you're doing these fights that you've never seen any game ever done, to that scale before, the music helps too. So, yeah, this one was hard. But I gotta be honest, it was between Sea of Stars and Alan Wake. It was between Sea of Stars and Alan Wake, and I had to give it to Alan Wake, which was hard because if I could change it, maybe on a different day I would have picked Sea of Stars. But what I said for the nominees, the reason Alan Wake wins, Herald of Darkness, right, stuff like that is top tier. But every chapter that ends, the music is also really good, and then and it complements. Maybe I was wrong to say. This one maybe complements the game in a different way because the music is vital, but it also tells stories. So it's an integral part of the game. And then just like the background music, right? Or something when Alan is going back into the dark place after he just got out, like the music really makes that scene, I think. So that's tough. Sea of Stars is just like an everlasting loop of like amazingness, but this kind of beats it. And I'm sorry to Final Fantasy that just can't seem to win for either of us. It's not a bad thing. I don't look at it as a bad thing. Okay. Best story. Another Final Fantasy, it looks like from you. Best story.
Jedi Survivor. Definitely out of any game this year that I played, one of my favorites to play, hands down. I think that they told a very good story. I remember when I think we did like a review podcast on it, and I had mentioned that there was portions of the game where I thought like, okay, like it seems like it's wrapping up right here. To find out that there was more. And like normally when that happens, it's always a bad thing. Like, oh my God, there's more. But like, no, it was like there is a whole other plot that is like about to take place here. And it was very good to feel that about a game in a good way when normally finding out there's more is always a bad thing. And I think that for me, that just changed it to a whole different level and left an impression on my mind that kind of just never left. Spider-Man 2 was, I mean, you don't even need me to speak for it. I mean, the world kind of spoke for it. It was a good game. It had its flaws in the story, but despite its flaws, it told a very good story. Just the amount of characters that you actually did get to play, the amount of cameo characters, I'm gonna call them, that you got to play with, just the different things that the story does and what the story sets up in the future, as well as what the story ties in, I think that altogether it was a great package. Alan Wake. I mean, Alex has been describing this game better than I can, and I think that he will always be able to until I get to play it, because I've only watched it. So, and just watching it, it's just like you mentioned the music, and I didn't even think about it. And the game is very musical, but like just how much music is in there, I didn't even really think about that until you said it. Like at the end of missions, like
Yeah.
didn't even notice that because I'm just constantly like it was normal to me at that point. And it was something that I felt like musically I probably didn't appreciate as much as I probably should have, but I'm gonna take that as just being able to just watch it versus play it. But the story was very well crafted, very well done, and very unique. Starfield, I've honestly enjoyed it. The story that they've told with the constellation and finding, just putting together this item that they're trying to find more about, and how you get there and the different ways that you get there. And if you stick with the game, I truly believe that you do get something out of that story. And even after you go back and play New Game Plus, you get more stuff out of the story.
Yeah.
So it's like it is a game that, like, the more you play, it rewards you for playing in a story aspect as well as a gameplay aspect. But for this title, the story aspect. And then Final Fantasy. Very I it breaks my heart, my decision here, because I loved the story to this game. I love this story. And it is, I've already spoiled it didn't win pretty much, but it was my runner up. Like, if there was a percentage, it was like literally 1% away from like overtaking my winner. And that brings me to my winner.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh, people are going to be happy about this.
Jedi Survivor scoops up his second win today. This story spoke to me more than any other story, and I honestly can't say why that is. It could be because of how much I love Star Wars. It could be because it naturally just hit me in a way that other games didn't. But with everything coming in from the first game going into the second game, every character felt like they progressed. The world felt like it progressed. The stakes felt like they were big. Every character that you had to fight against felt like they had a reason for being there, and they had well thought out characters as well as motivations as well as plots. I believe that like this was truly the best story. And even like when you thought that, oh man, like it's about to be over, we're about to fight this character, he's got to be the final boss, he's not the final boss. Oh my god, like it was the story that never ended in a good way for me. And it was no other game this year gave me that feeling.
Excellent. And good points are being made in the chat. It's a lively chat and I like it. I want to just say, like, for like, even for me, like Baldur's Gate, I think would be here way more if I played it more. I
finished it as well.
Yeah, I played like 12 hours, and it's an elite game. Yeah, but I just haven't. I want to, once I talk about it, or once I beat it, I want to do something very special for it eventually. But something like that, or Mario Wonder was brought up for soundtrack. Some games, it just went by us, right? All right, now this, I feel like I tried to cover as much as I could cover in this category. So mine, and one game I would wager a bet of $100 that 90% of you have never seen this game right here. If you can tell me what this game is before I say it, I won't give you $100, but it's gonna prove my point. So
Chat, I can't say it either, so don't feel bad.
Yes. But this is how I can prove that I can play a pretty diverse group of games. So Jedi Survivor is, I think, not the safe one. It's steadily, again, like this is like the Final Fantasy one kind of for me here, where it's just steady, really good. like constantly. And it's got some incredible moments that I still think about. Even when thinking about this, I thought about it. So I could see how that could win. Alan Wake 2, well, we'll get there eventually, but no, Alan Wake 2 story, love, like, I need the convolutedness, right? I keep saying that with like Kingdom Hearts, Alan Wake. So of course this was going to be, a candidate, and they nailed it. They nailed, I think, the story. It had the twists it needed. It had the confusing parts it needed. It had the character moments, and it had everything. Hi-Fi Rush. I think Hi-Fi Rush is a really great story game too. I really grew to like a lot of the characters. Like, it wasn't just the visuals. Visuals is what got me at first. Visuals, combat, but the story I think is actually excellent. I think the use of music, and also the characters, like everything in that game is very good. So I wanted to, highlight it here a little. Okay, I don't think anybody did. It's called The Wreck. This is a game made from a very, very small team. This is not biasness, but they did reach out to me months before it came out and like talk to me about it. And I played it, and it's not biasness. I love this game. This could be like a shout out to them. Maybe we can get them some sales. There was actually kind of a tragic story with them with this game where their last game sold actually pretty good for the size of the team. This game completely bombed. And I'm talking about like less than 2,000 people bought this game. Like scary low number. But it's an excellent story game. It's a very good story. And a little bit more like personal, like kind of like family like. So if you're in a situation she was in, you might, relate to it more or care about it more. But I thought it was awesome. So I wanted to shout it out. I think it deserves this nominee. And then Spider-Man, for as rushed as it can be at times in some of the story decisions, it was also epic and also was emotional. So I think for every kind of negative, it had an equal positive, to be to make it short. Okay. And I kind of feel bad that one game keeps doing this, but no, I think it deserves it though. The one game, as you can probably already tell, is Alan Wake. And see what I did there? Did you? He's writing a story. Yeah. So the story of this game is incredible. How they blend Alan and Saga, the ending, the New Game Plus, and the New Game Plus kind of being meta, right? Like they know they're going back in. Like it does things again. I'm a man kind of like uniqueness, right? Like The Wreck. That's why that was there. Games that are just different. And this story is different than any of the other stories, even in like beat by beat kind of thing. It was different. So I feel bad that one game's sweeping it. It doesn't win everything, but it does win an okay amount.
I have one request right quick. For The Wreck, is it possible we can tell people like how much it is, where
I think
to find
it's $20.
Yep, and where
it's
to find
on everything. It's actually on console. I played it on PC. Oh, it's on sale right now. It's $10 on Steam.
Yeah, I'm going to go support that, and I'm going to buy it after we get off of here. I remember you were telling me about that. I remember.
Yeah.
So it was like that's the game that I didn't see. Like I haven't seen any gameplay for, but I remember as you was explaining it to me and the whole situation. So I do want to help that team out, and I also want to experience it.
Yeah. $20 on PlayStation. So 10 on PC, 20 on console. I think it's on the Switch. I know it's on Xbox and it's on PlayStation. So yeah, support that. It's not like they didn't pay me. They didn't do, none of that. I think it's a French team. They saw my video on What Remains of Edith Finch, and they said that this game was like it. And I said, oh, what? And then so they kind of like pitched it to me. But yeah, no, honestly, it's worth it. And I'd love for them to like continue doing stuff, Okay, it looks like best story. We got 3 more for you before Game of the Year. And then that means maybe we have 5, because I think I did 2 that you didn't do, something like that. So most surprising is next up. These are kind of my favorite ones, is the ones like this.
Okay, so most surprising. For me, this category was how can I say, very, very, very interesting, because it was a category full of games, obviously, that I think caught a lot of people off guard. And it's ironic that we start with Baldur's Gate, because there's a 3 in the name. Yeah. And for as popular as it was, I said it with the Game Award predictions that this game was in the Elden Ring position last year, like
Yeah.
what it is this year. And it got a lot of people who normally don't play these type of games to play it, and they enjoyed it. And for this to be their third outing, I think shows that nobody expected this game to be as good as it was, to be as influential as it was, to be as popular as it was. And I think that because of the popularity that it's garnered, because of the high praise that it's garnered, it's no way it couldn't be on this list for me. Street Fighter 6. We all know I'm a Street Fighter fanboy. One of my favorite franchises of all time. I can admit that Mortal Kombat has been kicking our butts for decades now, in popularity and just in product and in final product even. And so to see a game that a franchise that although is popular but not nearly as popular as Mortal Kombat was, let's say, in its field, overtake it to the point where like people there was a Golden Stick Awards, and Mortal Kombat had won Fighting Game of the Year there, and like the FGC Twitter blew up because they disagreed that strongly. Having a Street Fighter game get that kind of reaction and emotion out of people for not winning a game and then for winning the game awards as well. I don't think anybody expected that Street Fighter was going to come out on top as Fighting Game of the Year, or like for people just in general who are not fighting games to actually be like, hey, this is kind of fun. Hey, this got features that I can kind of play, even though I'm not traditionally a fighting game. I felt like it caught a lot of people off guard. Same thing can be said about Lies of P. It wasn't a game that I originally intended on even getting, to be honest. Then I seen gameplay start to come out for it. Then it came out. I watched other people play it. I had friends that played it. I actually was won over when I played it for myself on SharePlay. And playing it for myself was actually a fantastic experience. I'm not gonna lie. I am not the best person at the game, but I do enjoy the game. That brings me to Lethal Company, which I feel like is the most recent surprise. And it's surprising for every reason that you would think it would be, which is it's fun. It's a fun game to play with friends. It is a fun game in general. And the popularity and how well I akin it to Among Us and how fun that game was and how surprising it was for as many people to play it. And I would say that that's the kind of the same a little bit to a lesser degree for Hi-Fi Rush as well. I think that the combat was so unique and it caught everybody off guard when it did. And I think that that was also a surprise for people. And that brings us to the winner, Baldur's Gate 3. I don't think that there was any, for me personally, a better choice because of, I mean, it did very nice at the Game Awards. We don't trust them. But just the community feedback and everything from the gaming community to the journalists to the whole complete package. I think that for this being their third game in this franchise, nobody expected this game to do what it did. And so I believe that just that alone would get that result from me.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that a lot. Okay. Mine is all over the place. Now, okay, how I look at this is so, and I've always looked at it like this. Most surprising is the difference between what you thought and then what it was, right? So that's how I went into it. So I got a new one for you. God of War Valhalla DLC, which I needed to put there. So, you know, you don't know much of what this is going to be. You see the trailer, you know, it's a roguelike thing, and you say, okay, well, that's awesome. But it's an incredible roguelike game. And then it also has story, which the trailer didn't really convey that was going to be, you know, a very big element. Now, I don't love the ending. The story is very much like, I'll take it, you know? So that was added, that was extra, and that was very surprising. Hi-Fi Rush, I thought was going to be, again, it's the difference between, right? So when I saw it, and didn't they either stealth dropped it or released it like the next day, right? It was like one, or I think they did drop it when they announced it. So you see the trailer, and I say this game looks incredible. So I had high hopes, but then it became like top 3 game of the year, right? So that's that difference for me. And that's why, by the way, Alan Wake is not here, because I thought Alan Wake was going to be elite. It was elite, so it's not surprising. Baldur's Gate, same reason you said. I did call it, but I didn't think it was going to be the big thing that it was. I did think people were sleeping on it, and it was going to be pretty big. I didn't think it was going to be as big. So this one's epic. This one's epic. How do you spell it? It's WRECK. The wreck, like wreck is in like a crash. And there it is again. Most surprising, the wreck. Again, for the reasons that I said before, like, they pitched it to me on What Remains of Edith Finch. That's one of my favorite games of all time. Unfinished Swan. Giant Sparrow is one of the best developers of all time. So I thought it was going to be good. And I think the story is like top 3 of the year. So the games, like the gameplay is like point and click kind of stuff, but the story is elite. It's genuinely elite. And I didn't think that, I didn't know how that was going to go. So we have that. And then there you go. Epic again. Crash Team Rumble. This was where it made the most sense, right? To put Crash. You go into the year, you're thinking, how's this going to work? And it's actually a really fun game.
He fell down a rabbit hole of that game. You were playing it for a while.
Very diverse nominee list here, as voted on by the panel. No, but I mean, Crash, I thought it could be good, but it's like legitimately fun. I kept saying, like, I almost apologized, right? Because it's like, I don't know if we should support a Crash game like this, but I'm sorry, it's genuinely good. And I feel bad that people aren't playing it, but I get why you wouldn't play this game, but it actually is excellent. So very surprising. Very surprising. Now where is my most surprising? Oh God. Oh, there we go. Oh man, I forgot that I gave it to this. Okay, well, somebody's gonna be happy. Crash Team Rumble.
Got on the board.
I have to, right? Because like I just said, the difference between what I thought, which was a lot of worry, a lot of concern, a lot of here's what I would say. When you pitch the idea of Crash Team Rumble, I don't think it works. I think you think, how can you make these characters, like, how is that actually going to perform? And then you play it and you think, they did it. Each character is what you think of in the Crash universe. They're very diverse. They're very different. And the game works. Does it get repetitive? Well, yeah, because it's really only got one good mode. And so you play it over. But like, the game legitimately works and is legitimately fun, especially the better you get at it. So I can't believe that it worked. And that's exactly why it won. So, all right. As long as I'm not missing any. 2 more. Villain. This one was my idea, and I am really happy about it because I don't know how many nominees on any website or YouTube creator you're ever going to see do a best villain category, but here you go.
Yes. And now, all right, I want to make sure I want to pronounce these names correctly here. Okay, so Ultima from Final Fantasy. No, he's last. Okay, I'm kind of putting him up here.
Oh, yeah, right. Sorry. Yeah, I think maybe.
No, we're good. We're good. Okay, so Raphael, I want to say, from Baldur's Gate 3. Very, 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 very good, like good presence about him so far. Like I said, I haven't finished Baldur's Gate, but I've loved every time I've encountered him so far. Loving what I'm seeing so far. That's as far as I can take this at the moment. My next one is Kraven. Kraven. We were there. He was a absolute menace to us throughout the entire game. I think that he was, I would say, the main villain of the game. He was the one that kept going. We kept us going in circles. He captured one of the Spider-Men. He had a very great ending. Violent ending.
Yeah, very.
Then we have Revis, which I think he had, honestly, probably one of the best undercover stories in Jedi Survivor, to be quite honest with you. I think that he was underlooked because he was an underling of one of the main villains there. But when the more you got to know about him and the type of being that he was, so making his boss fight even more difficult because he was just going to keep regenerating. And hearing just about his backstory was different. And then we have the other two from Final Fantasy, which I honestly thought both were menaces. One of them I can't pronounce, Ultima obviously I can, but they were both menaces and at the same time had very good character motivations within themselves. And either one of them would have been great for this category. And that brings us to the winner here. Kraven the Hunter. Kraven hit me a little bit different more because once again, as far as playing Final Fantasy, I am at the beginning. I have watched all the story for Final Fantasy, and that did take time. But they would probably, if I was playing it more, I can almost guarantee that one of them would have won. But Kraven hit a little bit more for me because I actually was playing those missions. And so the good thing about a game and experiencing it is that as you're playing it, when you're witnessing the villain's motivations and he's putting you through stuff, and then you're actually playing what he's putting you through, you're like, man, he's a villain. He's a villain. And then you're seeing around like who he's gone and took out already, and you're just like, huh. And then you get captured, and you're just like, I have to fight my way out of this. And then he set this stuff up where I have to do this. And so I think that because, like I said, like Alex said it earlier, like we miss games. We can't play everything. And although like I will watch game movies, I think that the ones you play, there are certain categories that will hit you a little bit more. And I feel like as much as Ultima hit me for Final Fantasy, playing out Kraven hit me more.
Yeah. Well, I got a Final Fantasy villain as well, and it's not the ones you had. And I would make a case that in terms of villain collection, there's no game that's better than Final Fantasy 16. They have like 5 elite villains. But do they win? That's my tease. Okay, Mr. Scratch. Boy, oh boy. I was gonna I'm gonna hold on to this mindset because I wish I would have done something with it. Leading into Alan Wake 2, I was gonna make a video on how important will Mr. Scratch be to the game because I had a feeling it was something big and they just didn't mention it. Turns out it's like the whole game. Mr. Scratch is so important, and I wish I would have done something with that thought process I had. Bode, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I think he is the best villain. He's not the most underrated villain, but he is the best villain. I guess that goes into spoilers. I'm sorry, but the game's almost a year old. So honestly, just very well acted, very well written. The motivations, making you kind of feel angry, but then you're like, well, I also get it, right? Like that dilemma. He does it perfectly. He is a great character, not even just villain. They're all great characters. Kraven, for the same reason that you said, he is the best villain in the game. He, again, has underlying reasons why he does everything. He looks cool. He's fun to fight. His ending is cool. He's very good. And I saw Wicked say, he made, he's the best part of the game. I think you could argue that. I think, web swinging, fighting, and Kraven maybe are, the top 3 things in that game. Nicole in Dead Space Remake. I didn't want to put the Dead Space Remake on here too much, right? Because it's a remake. I didn't want to get into that controversial discussion, but I like her a lot. It's not new, what she is and what happens there and all that, but I think they did it, and you had Isaac talking. So I guess there was a way this could have gone off the rails pretty quickly, right? But it didn't. I think it actually made it when he sees her in person. And then we won't spoil the rest of it, but he does a really good job. The story still works, even though that he talks, right? And then Annabella, so their mom, right? She's Game of Thrones level sinister and backstabbing, and you can kind of tell right away. You can tell
away from the very first.
Yeah. Within 2 hours, they set her up as okay. That's her role here, and that's totally okay. He is excellent, and Okay, I won't spoil what happens to her, but let's say I was pretty happy. So we got that.
Yeah.
And I've actually never been so happy. Maybe for any of these villains, I haven't been so happy. Okay. So, however, Alex's biasness again rears its ugly freaking head because Mr. Scratch wins. And Mr. Scratch wins because of how important he is. And also without spoiling it, because it is only a couple months old, and I pray to God that every person watching my channel has bought this game, or somewhat, right? Is I can't shut up about it. The connection between Mr. Scratch and Alan and what that means for the story is again something you do not see. And I won't spoil what that is, but the twist with Mr. Scratch is a huge part of the story, and you just don't get that with any other game. Plus, not just that, he's scary. Like,
Yes.
he jump scared me multiple times in this game, and he's also like menacing for being the kind of villain that he is. So I was happy about that. Okay, we got best visuals / art style, and then I'll do a
Okay.
couple of mine, and then we'll do game of the year. So Sway first. There you go.
Lies of P, I think, is one of the most beautiful games to look at out of this entire year. That was actually the thing that drew me in for this game, was the actual visual art style of it itself. And I think that out of like games, we talk about games that look just very beautiful on screen that will age marvelously.
Yeah.
I think Lies of P is one of them. Street Fighter 6, I like what they did. Obviously they went for they have that engine that they have. The RE engine has a way of things looking real and also like very cartoonish at the same time. I don't know how they do it, but it is that with the variety of colors. Like if you just use your Drive Impact or you use your Drive Rush, and each character has like a different color, like a painting effect almost. Mix that with the different stages that you have in Street Fighter, and even if you go on a world tour and you just the visual art style of this game is just so beautiful, and I couldn't say more about it. Jedi Survivor, visually speaking, it looks amazing. It looks like you're really in Star Wars. And I mean it's almost a hindrance because it is an already established thing in movies and shows and just in general. So, like it has somewhere to go, and what it's supposed to look like. And it looks exactly like that thing. It is very beautiful. Tears of the Kingdom, you would expect it here. It is a beautiful art style. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I believe that it is still one of the most beautiful things to look at to this day. You can't go wrong with it. And Final Fantasy, beautiful. I think every Final Fantasy, for the most part, is beautiful, especially the ones that we get now. I think that each different place that you go to, the color palette, how vibrant certain parts of certain parts you go to is. It's just, I think it is probably one of the more beautiful games you will see out there. And
which is this the first time? Maybe.
Yes, it is. I see y'all in the chat. Y'all wanted it. Y'all got it. Final Fantasy has brought home a win with me. It was definitely the most beautiful game I put eyes on this year. And I watched the story before I played it, and now I am at the beginning stages of playing it. And it is still every bit as beautiful as what I've watched. And I cannot say any more. It is out of every game this year, this was the game that caught my eye the most.
I can't.
And the final boss fight.
Honestly, I forgot that you gave it a win because there's now a narrative building, and I'm very glad to see that it happened. Visuals. Where's my visuals? Okay. I'm happy with mine. Mine are actually very different. Love it. I love it. Final Fantasy wins something. Thank God. We should petition for us to be in the Game Awards. Best visual / style. Final Fantasy. I did give it the nomination. It is stunning and at its best. Actually, you know what? I think we. Oh no, we already did it. Or maybe we didn't. Why don't I have best? We'll figure it out later. At its best, Final Fantasy 16 is legendary. And it just always looks so good. There are some times a little bit lower end on the like when you do side quests and stuff, but overwhelmingly it's insane. Hi-Fi Rush, the art style is just always going to get me. It's future proof, right? Like it's always going to look good.
Yep.
So yeah, not too much to say there. Avatar has the best water besides Horizon Burning Shores, the best water in any game ever, declared by me, the only one who can declare it. Yep, there you go. That's it. And then Alan Wake, one of the best looking games out there, honestly.
Definitely.
With I'd say Final Fantasy. And but you know what? Dead Space also. Dead Space. I felt okay putting it here, right? Because it doesn't matter if it's a remake for how it looks. The game just looks
stunning.
so good. And you know what? I may even do like an honorable mention to Resident Evil 4.
Yes.
That didn't get any nominee for me. Partially because it's already a game of the year quality game, right? So to do it again wouldn't be fair. Same thing with Dead Space. But Resident Evil 4, I kind of forgot how good it looked. But then I saw it. Actually, I literally watched a video with it in it last night at like midnight. And I told my wife, Christy, I said, I forgot that game looks that good. So I kind of felt bad because maybe that should have been here. Okay. Best visuals / style. And then I got to figure out what happened to one of the other ones that we did. Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush. Future proof. Looks so freaking good. Honestly, the picture doesn't even do it quality. Like, you got to play it, right? You got to see it. The cell shading, right, I believe is kind of like what you would call it. Just so freaking good. There's not even too much to say. It's just, what appeals to you in terms of look. Okay. Am I forgetting? Did we do best moment? Why is that not here?
Best moment we have not done yet.
I have a winner for you, but I don't
have a winner.
Where is your?
I can say them if we need it.
Why? I literally have a winner, and I know I made your thumbnail. I made the visual for best moment, but
I got the list here though. So we can wing it. We can wing it.
Okay, so best moment is literally like the moment in the game. You say your nominees. I have the picture for your winner, but I don't know where the nominee is.
Okay, so best moments I have here. I have Spider-Man 2 for Peter versus MJ / Scream. I felt like that was a very emotional scene. It hit where it needed to hit. It was all the right emotional buildup from what they were both going through. Not only like in the game, but like the gap in between, like between this before this game and the game. So everything that they have gone through as a couple and everything that they kind of kept from each other all came to head in that battle, and they were kind of getting the chance to speak to each other out loud about it. And I think that just hit for me. Jedi Survivor, Kyle and Mirren, the kiss before that teleporting scene, probably out of anything I've played this year, that might be my favorite thing that I played through, just because I didn't expect it. Yeah, like it went from 0 to 100 very quickly. And I was like, oh, we're doing this now. Like, this is crazy. Like, then the Final Fantasy boss fight between Ferret, and I think that just in general, that boss fight was insane. For me, like that was a whole moment that I can't wait to get to and play myself. Because watching it was insane. The music during that boss fight, insane. Yeah. I cannot wait to get there. And then we have Alan Wake.
Yes.
The musical. That beautiful scene that the Game Awards, rightfully so, even had to recreate.
Yep.
That is, out of anything in that game, I want to play through there so I can walk through it myself.
Oh, yeah.
So I can experience it myself, because I've only watched it. And watching it, I can't confirm that I had the same feeling that you had, but I felt like I was super excited watching that, very impressed watching that. y'all could probably gather off of like the passion in my voice right now, how much I just genuinely appreciated that scene alone. That was insane. I think that it took a large amounts of creativity to even put that together. And if that deserves wins on itself. And then I have Hogwarts Legacy, the Hunted Hog Meat Shop.
Yeah.
That was also a moment. I think that honestly, it was criminal that was PlayStation exclusive for a while.
It still is. It still is.
Until next year, isn't it? Yeah. So I think that honestly speaking, like that's probably one of the best moments of the game. Also, probably the most creepiest moment of the game.
Yeah.
And anybody who wants to be mad that was kept away as DLC, you should be. And that brings me to the winner,
which I do have. I say I have this. I don't know why. There you go.
Jedi Survivor, Kyle and Mirren. This whole scene was top notch for me. You got the emotional moment between the two characters that's been building up over the course of the two games. And you don't even get a chance to breathe because right after it, you gotta go.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it is literally that whole moment. And she's helping you escape through portals that you got to jump through. You're platforming. I didn't expect to have that moment, let alone I didn't even think that moment could be a thing.
Right.
So it was just like, it caught me off guard in so many different ways and left an impression on me that still I'm feeling to this day. This collector's edition right here, well worth it for me.
All right. Those are good. And I think oh man, I actually, all right, we'll see how I'm going to talk myself out of this one. Best moment, Herald of Darkness, the journey of, oh man, the way he says it is so good, but I don't remember the exact quote.
Oh, I got it. I said, I called it the journey of Alan Wake, the musical.
The journey. Yes. And the way Mr. Door just like sets that stage is so good. So Herald of Darkness is one of the coolest things you'll ever experience. The Game Awards did it about as perfectly as you could hope they did. And then, you know what? Honestly, like, the game is just even. I've done a couple of things. I've listened to the Game Awards one maybe like 17 times. I've listened to I've watched the music video, the official like 3 million viewed one on YouTube, probably like 25 times. But playing it is different because I'll tell you actually a small little thing. The way they loop the music is so clever because you could actually be stuck there past when that chapter of the song ends, right? So they have to keep the sound going. And the way they do it just I can't believe that they made a rock song be loopable. Like, I didn't even know that was like a thing, but they did it perfectly. And you'll see that come back. Venom, I think, yeah, we can say spoilers, right? Venom, Wicked actually said, like when it pans, and that's actually that's the moment I'm thinking of as well. So when the camera shifts and you realize, oh, they're setting it up, so now you're going to be playable. That is like an insane moment. And those 12 minutes, playing as him are epic. So that's a great one. I got to be honest, I don't remember what I'm thinking of here for Jedi. I think what I wanted to say with the Jedi one, yes, because, okay, Jedi and Final Fantasy, I kind of wanted to do like groupings of it. So I think Jedi has several. The Kiss is really good. When Cal and when there's so many character moments, I would say specifically towards the end of the game. I don't know how many we should like give away, but there's so many moments that would make this. When I think of Jedi, I think of maybe 6 or 7 scenes, and that's kind of what I'm grouping together. The other one, I won't spoil, Kiryu crying. That broke me. Like, I haven't cried. I think maybe I got like one tear in my eye at the end of The Walking Dead, Telltale's Walking Dead. That's the only time. Last of Us didn't happen. This didn't, but this like choked me up where like I couldn't talk. Like I wasn't gonna. Is maybe if I talked my voice or something. My wife actually was watching this with me, and she was leaving like, wow. So yeah, I freaking love that. This was a hard one too, by the way, to choose. And then Final Fantasy, same reason as Jedi. Every boss fight in Final Fantasy is better than the one before it. And it just constantly elevates itself to elite status. So had to kind of put all those in there. So this one was hard. Because honestly, like the Kiryu thing was a close second. But if you know me, then you know which one won it. Hero Star. Like I said, I won't even spend too much time because it is the best. It's the best experience, and that's what I think we said. Best moment, best experience was the other like way I was wording it when I was pitching it to you. I haven't experienced anything as cool, and like I didn't see any leaks. I got the game like 2 days early, but I think by the time I played this, other people had already started playing the game. So, but I didn't see any of this online. Like I went into this genuinely without knowing that there was a musical in the game or anything like that. And I was freaking blown away. And I just, I couldn't believe it. So, all right. Now I have at least 2, but see, oh God, where are all your things? Did you do one?
I know there was 2 that I didn't do for. I think 2 for 2.
You
of
have
them
one for
do.
disappointing, and again, I don't have your gosh darn nominees.
I got the list though. Let me find it.
Go through your list. This is disappointing. Okay, I don't know where these are. Like I saved them all. I named them all. Where did they go? But just all right. Go through your nominees for most disappointing.
Okay, so most disappointing. I have Redfall. I think that was a game that we all expected a lot more from that we did not get. I think that is the game I feel pretty confident in saying that most people felt the strongest about being a disappointment. It's one of them. It's up there. Exoprimal.
Ooh.
I expected it to be better than it was. I remember when it was announced, actually, I was pretty excited for it.
Yeah.
And when they dropped the beta for it, and I was like, yeah. I remember telling you this too. I said, this is Capcom's first miss right here. they've been on such a roll, and I think that this is gonna end it right here. And sure enough, it did. Immortals. Immortals is actually a game that I enjoyed. I really did enjoy the story of it. The gameplay was hit or miss for me, but it still was disappointing. I thought I was going to enjoy it a lot more than I did. I expected a lot more from it. I was impressed when we got to see the trailers for it, and I just was let down. I can't say like what particular area it was, but I know I just remembered by finish, it was just this overwhelming feeling of like, this isn't what I expected it to be.
This is the reverse of disappointing, right? This is where you thought versus what it was.
Exactly. And Atlas Fallen, another game, another game where I expected so much more. It actually had hype outside of myself for it, and getting it and just playing it, I didn't even finish. I have no intentions of finishing. I probably will just to ease my mind and say like, okay, well, this game gets better, because that's my thing with me personally is like, well, you got to upgrade the character, and there's more things in the game mechanics that have to play out. So, I might be judging it impartially, but I feel pretty confident in saying that I probably will not like this game. Forspoken. For me, as a person that champions new IPs and wants more new IPs, this gameplay, I honestly think was pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
The narrative and the dialogue absolutely killed this game. But I expected this game to be better than it was.
Yeah.
And I believe that if the narrative and the dialogue would have matched or at least come close to what the gameplay was, it would have gotten the job done as being what I thought it should be. But it was a dud. I was left underwhelmed. I was left very disappointed. And that is where it was. But once again, from a gameplay perspective, I think that they did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
And it did leave me wanting more, but it was very disappointing nonetheless.
And we got the winner.
And Yes, Redfall. I can't think of a bigger dud than this game. I was excited off of the trailer. I remember just being like, this game is going to be pretty good. I can't wait. I was already, picking what character I thought I was going to do the best with, and no, nothing. It was horrible. It deserved every bit of backlash it got.
Yeah.
So that was my pick for that.
Yeah, that's a bad game. And I will not take people, saying, it's okay, or they fixed it with the patches. No, they didn't.
No.
Most disappointing, Redfall. I didn't think it was going to be all that good, but as we just said, it's pretty bad. Atomic Heart, thought was going to be pretty okay. No, I got to choose my words carefully. I thought Atomic Heart could be like a really good game. It was okay. It's not bad, but I could never connect to it. So again, the gap there. Payday 3, I wanted to give it a chance. I played Payday 2. I think Payday is a good franchise. Nope. It's fine. Obviously, a lot of the issues at launch hurt this game quite a bit. But for me, it just, again, did not land. Mortal Kombat. This is one that I had the highest expectations for, and I'm only talking about the story. I like the new Mortal Kombat arc, and that makes me probably a filthy casual. I like what they've done. I like MK11. I like Aftermath.
Yeah, same.
The ending of 1 is disrespectful to me. I do not like it at all. So I was expecting great things, and most of it is good. It's definitely good. The ending is just disappointing.
It's horrible. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what they were doing there. And then Forspoken. This is another one. The gap is very big, to not spoil the winner. I thought it could be a legit thing. The gameplay is not bad. It didn't grab me, though. I do want to give it a chance. And I've told actually somebody, a friend of mine on Discord, this is a game that I look at as like, retrospect, which I have the retrospective channel, but you know how channels do, like looking back at a game like 2 years later. This is the game that I think blows up kind of on YouTube, where it's like, let's give Forspoken a second chance, like 3 years later. That's the game. So I will do it. I will go back and I will play all the way through, because I didn't. But you know what? And I could be eating my words with this in a few years, but the winner is Forspoken. Redfall was a close second. Redfall is just a really bad game. Forspoken, I think, just angers me more because it had some, you know what I mean? It made me more mad because it had more potential. So we got that. All right.
So much wasted potential.
What?
I said so much wasted potential.
Yeah, wasted. And then that studio kind of paid for it. Okay. Now I have 2 categories. One. See, I think maybe I messed up here. Oh, I do have 2. Okay. So we're going to do one called Missing in Action. And I like this idea. This is an idea of mine where this is a game that was announced not in this past year. It was before, and they have been MIA. Okay. I thought this was kind of fun. So we got KOTOR, which we've heard a lot from in the background, but they have not said anything. And that's a good one. And you'll see that come back up. Stellar Blade announced, whole year goes by. You think it's going to release this. I mean, I had to put it there, right? Because we thought it could come out and it didn't. BioShock. It's just insulting at this point that they said it was real 5 years ago. And next month will be 5 years that they announced that game. Did you know that? 5 years in January. And the game is still not got 1 ounce of news. Not a single, no logo, no premise, no nothing. BioShock, insulting, but I'll still play it because I'm sad. Killer Clowns. Now we did get stuff, but I'm gonna make an exception because we got stuff, but it didn't move the needle too much. This game was supposed to get a beta and release in the calendar year, and it got neither. So I would consider it missing in action. And then our good old friend Wonder Woman. The one that I think can be easily the best, although BioShock, but without Ken Levine, I don't know. Wonder Woman could easily be the best of this entire group here, and it's just getting aggravating, but it's also getting, we got some rumors this year. We got some rumors. We got some job postings. It is picking up, but not from them, right? Monolith has remained silent. So I like this one. And my winner, it has, can you guess mine?
I'm gonna guess it's between. Can you bring up the nominees one more
Oh
time?
yeah.
Because I remember most of them, but there's one that I'm forgetting.
Yes.
Cortour is one of them that I'm guessing,
Okay.
and Bioshock is the other. And I'm gonna guess it's Bioshock just because of how egregious it is. I didn't. I knew it had been like at least 3 years, but
Yeah.
5 years. That's insane.
So I did think about Bioshock, but you were right with the other one, KOTOR. This is also insulting because they
It
just
hurts.
won't say it. I'll tell you why it's more insulting, because we know stuff has happened and they just won't
Yep.
say it. They won't even say if this game is being worked on. At least with Bioshock, it's just a cluster F. The building's on fire, but we know that. You know what I mean? There's no surprise there. This game is, you could just let us know. So
Yeah, like 1 minute it's like it's not being worked on. The next minute it is actually still being worked on. And I'm like, can y'all please let us know something?
yeah,
Anything.
make up your mind. Worst game. I had to do it because we needed to get the day before here, right? The day before. I'll talk about it in a second because I'm gonna spoil kind of the winner. Day before, it's there. Gollum. Boy, what a game. Now, I have to be real. I've only played Redfall. This is simply, but I've kept up on all the other ones. So, Gollum, terrible game. I've definitely watched enough to know it. I refuse to buy it. If it was $5, I think it's been $10 before. If it was $5, I'd maybe consider it just to make a video on it. And
Epic
maybe
should
one day,
probably
maybe
put
like
it
a
up.
couple years after, I would do it. Redfall is a terrible game. Sorry. But it's not, I mean, it's easily the shining star of this group. You know what I mean? Like, you play Redfall every day for the rest of your life versus the rest of these. Walking Dead Destinies. That's probably the one I've seen the least amount, but like the
Yep.
things I have seen have been laughably bad, right? So you have that, and then you have, I think it's Skull Island, right? Rise of Kong. I don't think
Game of the year.
Game of the year. This one was easy to tell it was going to be bad, though, right? You see the
Yes.
trailer, and it didn't have a Gollum arc where like there was hope for like a little bit it could be good. Kong
No.
always looked bad, right? And it was such a short gap between trailer and release. That game's terrible. It was made in like 8 months, I think they said, or just very little time. It's a terrible game. Awful. We have had some just god awful games. However, there is only one, because some of these games, Sway, I don't know if you know, some of them actually worked. Some of them are what they said they were, but one game wasn't. And it's the day before. This game is not a game. This game is a lie. This game is a scam. It's a scam gone wrong. They couldn't even scam people right. Hassan of Abandon scammed people. I mean, he didn't scam. Hassan fooled people better than this game did. Okay?
I just want to say that the servers will be shutting down in 45
The servers
days.
will be shutting down in January. Refunds will be issued to all. The game is a failure. So we won't spend too much time on that one. But boy, I needed to get that into the Game Awards. Okay, Sway. The Game of the Year nominees. We're here.
We're here.
And I got your nominees right there.
Okay, so Baldur's Gate 3. As a person that has not finished this game, as a person that is, I would say I'm a good chunk of the way through. Everything that this game has to offer. I got into Dungeons and Dragons maybe about like 2 years ago at this point. So I was right at home. As far as like how everything was supposed to work. But playing it in a video game format and having the branching dialogue options and being able to, let's say, romance characters and the story that's put in front of you and the way the combat is done, I think everything comes together beautifully for me in a way that other games just have not either appeared to click with me or when I've actually played them have not clicked with me. And it was one of those things where, like, as I started playing it, I just realized, like, I understand why people feel as strongly as they do about this game. Alan Wake, have not played it, only watched it. It is impressive that it is on my nominees list as a person that has only watched it. I literally was thoroughly impressed with this game, and I cannot wait to play it. However, this game I felt very strongly about being here because it deserves it. It's one of those games where, and you guys can even go on YouTube, watch it yourself. You can just grasp how epic it is watching it being played. And I think that it has every right to be here. Spider-Man 2 is a game that I feel like it's the embodiment of you need to play it. You have to play it in order to grasp like how good everything feels, how much better it feels than the game before it. The story is amazing. The gameplay is amazing. The combat is amazing. New York is amazing. The villains and the character arts are amazing. This is all pun intended. And I think that for everything that they did in this game, it would be almost disrespectful to not have it nominated. Jedi Survivor. I've talked very highly about this whole stream. I can't say anything more than anything that I've already said. Amazing story, amazing setting, amazing character moments. Everything here makes you feel like you're in the galaxy far, far away. And I can't explain it, but this game does just so many different things with its characters and its storytelling that I think even from years to come, I think even next year, when people do retrospectives on like games that should have won game of the year or been more recognized, I think you're going to see this game kind of pop up in that same facet, even though already I would say got the respect it kind of deserves, just not the recognition amongst other games when comparing them. And then Tears of the Kingdom, very good outing. It was game of the year. The first game, as far as like the first game being game of the year, it revolutionized so much for the industry and the way that a lot of games go about developing their games. And I think that because it does more of the same here and it didn't have as many impactful improvements to it, that's why you don't see it as mentioned as much, but I do believe that it deserves every bit of a right to be here. And the winner is Baldur's Gate 3. Didn't expect to say that. But and even more since I've gave Alex this list, I've played more. And it's only reinforced my opinion even more that this is it. I think that the way that they did the combat and the dice rolling and just the world in general, the complete package is the most complete out of any game I've played this year. And I am probably, other than Star Wars, because I think I was the most immersed with Star Wars.
Yeah.
This is up there right neck and neck with it in immersion. I feel like my character is just in this world. And when I'm playing it, I am in this world.
There we go. There we go. I'm will tell you my own personal opinion of you. I am shocked. I was shocked when you told me that was your game of the year. Because I didn't know, because we've talked here and there, but we're both busy, and I didn't know, like, and even though you haven't gone through, like, I didn't even know you played Baldur's Gate at all.
Yes.
So like even when you were telling me like your nominees, I was like, oh man, this guy's a Baldur's Gate player, you know. All right, mine, Alan Wake 2. I won't spend too much time because I've talked about it so much, and I'm sorry. Hi-Fi Rush. The game that I can't say it's my most surprise. Maybe did I say it was my most surprising? No, I didn't. It's one of the most surprising games. Came out of left field. I love shadow drops. God of War Valhalla kind of is a shadow drop as well. They mean a lot to me. No, this game is so good. The story, the characters, the combat with the music. It's got a side band of the Smashing Pumpkins that plays a song. I can't even believe that that's the case. And they're my favorite band of all time. So like that really helped. But no, this game just from start to finish is awesome. And even like the ending of the game, like it almost gave me a Persona vibe where I didn't want to say goodbye. And it doesn't happen all that often. Like Persona 5, the characters saying goodbye to each other made me sad. I was like, oh man, I'm not going to see them again. And you just can't relive that, right? I felt the same here when they're kind of all together. They're in a car ride is like the last scene. And it's like, this is sad, like to see it's over. And it was a good song to match that. Baldur's Gate 3, Although I've only played it about 12 hours, I think it is an elite game. I have no doubt in my mind if I play it from start to finish, it would be the best game. I really believe that it would be the best game this year. It is consistently good. The branching dialogues, the fact that literally anything can happen in that game, right, is outstanding. Spider-Man had to, I wanted to shout out because, for as much as we're sometimes critical of it, I enjoyed the heck out of it. It was kind of just what I wanted. It was almost a safe game in the sense that it didn't do anything shocking. Alan Wake kind of took what I wanted and then some. Spider-Man didn't, but the combat, I can't go back. I don't know if I can replay the first game because this game is better in terms of playing it, holding it in your hand. This game is better than the first game in everything. The story, you could argue. The characters, you could argue, but it deserves a lot of praise. And then Jedi, yeah, I nothing like now that we're done with this show, I feel bad about how I've treated Jedi because it is it's a game I think about very strongly. There were so many good elements. It wasn't even buggy for me. A lot of people hold the bugginess and against it. I didn't even have a problem when I first played it. So it is such a good game. The combat's great. The story is great. The diversity of like the enemy, like droids. You fight freaking battle droids. That's my favorite. General Grievous is my favorite character. So I love it. I mean, it's a great game. Cal is great. It's what we should want from Star Wars games, right?
Yes.
So I feel bad. That I haven't given it I don't know if I gave it any win. I'll have to look back. But this is not shocking. I have said this 1,000 times, but I think this is a cool picture for it. Alan Wake 2.
Yes.
And it's kind of because of that shot too, especially if you do New Game Plus to know what happens there. It's what I said. So surprise in terms of one thing. I do want to tease something else, but one surprise tomorrow. I've already done it. It's already ready to go up. It'll go live tomorrow. I have an entire video talking about my game of the year is Alan Wake 2. So a whole video explaining it. I did it last year for Plague Tale. I had a lot of fun doing it, so I wanted to do it again. There you go. Alan Wake 2, my game of the year, Baldur's Gate, Sways. That was a lot of fun. And it was a shorter show than the Game Awards. But it was a lot of fun. So this is it. Sway's going to be back. We're going to do some Suicide Squad live streams in the new year, pretty early in the new year. So you can look forward to that. I think I'm still working on it, and I don't know how I'm necessarily going to do it, but in the next few weeks, I'll do a couple solo streams. We'll do some like wrap-up videos. One of them may be me ranking every single game I played this year, which I think could be fun. So that I can give Star Wars a little bit more love, stuff like that. So there we go. Sway, anything you want to say?
Thank you guys for joining. This was a very fun idea that Alex brought up, and the moment he pitched it, I was like, oh, this is going to be so much fun. And even seeing, like, there's a comment that I'm literally looking at now that says, if we all like the same games, it would be boring. And I think that was the case. The fact that my list was different in certain areas than Alex's list. The fact that, like, we had winners that, like, y'all were like, no, like, Final Fantasy needs to win, or like, we need more Jedi love. And in some cases, we got it. But it was even like Alan Wake sweeping. Like, I love that because that just tells you the impact that this game has on this person. And like even Crash Team, if it didn't win, Alex, if it didn't win on your list, I was gonna be mad because he literally, I watched the whole thing. I think we all watched it, where he was just before the game came out and after it was a switch, and he was addicted for a period of time. And so I just loved seeing that get to play out and there being like a payoff, and this just us doing this, allowing there to be a payoff for moments like that. So I absolutely love doing this. I loved your all reaction to it, and it was great being here.
Yeah, and I love, the comments, where's the Wonder Woman trailer? And not enough, and that's hilarious. Yeah, no, we'll have to do, I don't know, I definitely want to make this annual. We'll have Sway back, and we'll do it next year. We'll have to continue to find a way. I think this was actually pretty big. Like, I thought this was way more, I thought it was going to be fun. This was way more fun than I thought it was going to be. So we'll have to figure out how we can do this next year to make it even more special, but we got a whole year to think about it. And no mobile ads. Maybe we'll do a mobile ad thing next year. Sway does have a Twitter. He doesn't have a
Yes.
YouTube. His Twitter is in the description actually right now. If you click the
I
description.
do threads on Twitter, so I do cover games. I was supposed to do a bunch of threads on the Game of Year, but I mean the Game Awards, like for games that came out for it.
Yeah.
Holiday season has gotten very busy, so that has delayed me tremendously. I still got to watch the new Suicide Squad thing from like yesterday.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna catch up. But yeah, I normally do threads. I cover everything. I find the Easter eggs within them. I also try to break down the gameplay loops and the possibilities for the games as well. Add as much things as I can figure in there. Also, if you find things in games and I see it, I will shout you out and say like, "Hey, this person found this thing in the trailer," and things of that nature. But that's kind of my form of content creation.
That's
right
how
now.
I found him. Was I think a
Yes.
thread on something. I don't even remember actually what the game is now. It's been a while since we first hooked up, but that's how I saw you, was threads. So, yeah, he'll be back. We'll do. We're gonna do a Suicide Squad or 2 maybe streams in January. We're gonna have more guests. We'll get some DC creators and hopefully not get channel striked or whatever could happen. But no, thank you guys so much for being here, for watching. I'm sure this will do well too. After the fact, people watching on demand. Have a great Christmas. I always say Merry Christmas. I know not everybody celebrates. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I hope you guys have an awesome one. And don't feel, I'm sure this is a tough time for some people too, right? It's a good time for some, bad, but well, hey, if you like my stuff, there's videos every day. I got videos on Christmas Eve and Christmas going up. So thank you for being here. We'll have new streams or some pretty cool streams over the next few weeks. We'll do some Suicide Squad stuff, and take care. We'll see you all on the next one.